Welcome to my channel. My name is Erin Kate. I am a UX UI product designer based out of the United States. In this video, we'll be diving into the world of UX design case studies. So I was really surprised because I've posted like 5 videos and over again, people were commenting saying, can you show us how to make a case study? This video is going to help you build a really stellar case study that's going to help you in your job application process and help you land a job in UX design. Let's get into it. First things first. Why do you need a case study? If you've landed on this video, I'm going to assume that you know you need a case study. The reason that case studies are so prevalent in the UX design field is because they essentially show hiring managers how you think. Why is this so important in the world of UX design? UX design is about technical skills. It is about design skills. Yes, you need to be good with your tools. Yes, you need to have a good eye for typography and color theory and iconography and images and all those things, all the fun stuff. But the overwhelming feedback that I receive from hiring managers and also just from my time spent in this career is that what is really valued is the ability to problem solve and the soft skills surrounding design. When hiring managers see your case study, they're actually looking at what your design thinking process is, what kind of a problem solver you are, how resourceful you are, how well you recognize patterns. That is why case studies are so helpful. Hiring manager isn't gonna reach out and schedule an interview with every single person that applies for the job. If y'all have been on LinkedIn, like I have been recently, because I'm going through the job application process again, 300 applicants, 500 applicants, hiring managers just can't handle that load of interviews. So what they do first is they go into your portfolio and they look over your case study, and from that case study, they're able to gather this person has a good head on their shoulders, this person has soft skills, and this person is a good problem solver. In addition to things that you'll also showcase, like this person can use the design tools that are necessary to complete the task, like Figma or whatever it may be. Now, the last thing that I'll say on that note is when I say soft skills, the strongest soft skill I'm really stressing here is the ability to storytell. So storytelling in UX design is a highly valued skill, and it's a skill that's really worth thinking about, working at, and really improving, because storytelling will come into play in your case studies, it'll come into play in your job interviews, and then will also come into play when you're working your UX design job. So when you're presenting your design and you're explaining your design decisions, whether that's to a stakeholder or to the engineering team or to product managers, it's very important to be able to storytell. In essence, what a case study is. This is what I tell junior designers, people that I mentor who are looking for advice. You know, I feel like so much of it is mindset. So when they're trying to wrap their head around like, why do I have to make one and what is it? This is how I explain it. A case study showcases your journey as a designer, getting from point A to point B. Point A is the problem that you were met with, and point B is the solution that you came up with. All of that journey in between point A and point B is the case study, is the sections of the case study. So you have point A, the problem, point B, the solution, and that journey in between. And that is the essence of your case study. So it's really simple when you deconstruct it. And that's why I like to give these little mindset tips, because so much of breaking into this new career field of UX can be overwhelming. You have case studies, you have portfolios, you have job interviews. And if we can deconstruct it and look at it in more simplistic terms, it's a lot less intimidating. How do you pick a project for UX design case study? I'm going to assume that many of you that have landed on this video are beginners. And as beginners, you likely have projects that you've completed in boot camps or, certification courses, Udemy classes, a product that you took from conception to hypothetical launch. I'm gonna riff off of that. Point A is the problem, and the problem is an idea. It's a gap that needs to be filled. It's a problem that needs to be solved. For instance, point A is, how do we create how do we create an application where traveling nurses can pick up shifts in whatever city they happen to be in that weekend so that they can supplement their income? That's problem A. Problem B, in a case study scenario, is going to be the final product. That's why I say the soft MVP, like the final product. Really what it is in this scenario for a case study for a beginner is going to be a high fidelity mock-up, possibly a prototype. You've probably read, you've probably heard you need 3 solid case studies. Yeah, you should have 3 solid case studies. What I recommend is that you put a lot of effort into that one really big project, which is conception to soft launch. And then I recommend usually 2 other styles of case studies. for your remaining 2 case studies. You can do another full product, that's probably ideal, but it's a lot of work. So some ideas to kind of spruce it up, get creative, you can add a feature to an existing product. So like, I love Spotify, but I'd really love it if my friends could vote on who has the best playlist for our road trip. So if people could vote on the playlist, that'd be cool. So then you can go and create that. Another example of a good case study would be to create something like an onboarding process. So you're just creating a flow within a product. And what that could look like is I have a dog walking app and I'm gonna create the onboarding to get someone ready to go, signed up to get their dog walked on the app, but not necessarily the entire feature. Another example, because this is a really good one, is the checkout process for concert tickets. All right, so I feel like you guys have a pretty good idea of what a case study is. I am a monkey see, monkey do kind of gal, so I learn really well by watching and seeing someone work at it themselves. So that's how I'm going to take you guys into this video. I'm going to take a case study of mine that I made a long time ago, but that has been on my website, has been reviewed by multiple hiring managers. I've gotten really good feedback, so I would call it like a high-performing case study. It has all of the things it needs in it for the most part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deconstruct that old case study of mine and take you guys along with me. Let's get into it. I'm here on my laptop and I have my screen split so that I have my case study from my portfolio showing and I have Figma showing. And I was thinking like, what's the best way that I can help you all? What's the best way that I can really show just this deconstruction and rebuilding process? I decided that I'm going to make a template of sorts. I might put it in the Figma community. I haven't decided because this is gonna be the rough draft of that template. I'll do my best to clean it up and then upload it to the Figma community in a timely fashion. I really think that we can learn by doing and learn from what's been done before. A really good way of doing that is to go and find designers that have created really solid case studies and then take their case studies and deconstruct them and just edit the different portions to fit your needs. That might not make so much sense right now, but hang in there and I'll show you guys just what I mean. All right, so here I am on my Clio project. This is from quite a few years ago. I'm taking this case study and I'm just gonna deconstruct it and mention some tips to you all on how you can edit this and make it all your own so that hopefully that case study creation isn't so overwhelming. My goal is to simplify the case study creation process for you. You see right away, I have the date of the project and the name. So I'm gonna come into my Figma and like I said, I'm working on a template of sorts here. I wish I could make this screen look like prettier, but this is what we are working with. Honestly, it's not so bad. All right, so we have the year and then the name of project. All right, and then scrolling down, we have a big final product image. Final product image. Well, so what I'll do is I'll put underneath why. I'm laughing because I know what I'm gonna put. Get the people going. Right from the start, you're grabbing the reader's attention with that final product image. That's a really good way to kick off your case study, highlight that final product so that people are excited to learn about how you came to that conclusion or that solution or that final product. Scrolling down, we have the problem statement. This problem statement, I personally think it's a little wordy. Essentially what I was saying was there is this niche, it's not being filled with an app currently. The problem is there's this niche that's not being filled by an app and I'm going to create that app. So the problem statement asks the question of how might we solve this problem? So this problem statement section will give an overview of the problem and then I like to ask a question of how we might solve that problem, just to reword it and get people's minds moving. Problem statement / how might we ... This little guy is gonna, oh, sorry, you know, I should have done this from the beginning. I'm just gonna go ahead and treat him like his own little frame. And then I'm gonna add some borders. All right, so we have how might we, and then we're going down and we see role, scope, process, tools. Role, scope, process, tools. And you can set this up or, you know, like lay it out however you think looks pretty or nice. I do have it laid out along the side here when I stretch my screen. So on a normal desktop, this is what it looks like. I have my problem statement and then I have the columns of those specs along the other side. All right, so scrolling down, I guess I'll speak to these really quick. In the role section, put whoever was involved in this project. So give other people their cred if they were involved. For instance, my fiance is also a designer and he helped me with this project. So I put him in there as one other designer. If you were working, if this was a case study from your time spent at an actual company and you were working with product managers or an engineering team and that case study were to involve, say, the launch of the product or the ideation of the product with any of those other teammates, you're gonna put them in here. Not by name, but in title. Scope, that's how long it took. I'll give you guys plenty of examples. You can pick and choose which ones resonate for you, but scope essentially is how long it took you to go from point A to point B. So remember, our case study is showcasing point A to point B. In this case, it's the conception to the soft launch, to the high fidelity prototype. Process, we have all of the things, all of the skills that we use to carry out this journey. And then our tools. I used a myriad of tools in this because it was for my boot camp, so I was using all the things. So then we have this scroll through of some of the high fidelity designs. I did this app in light and dark mode, so I'm showcasing that here. I think that this is nice to have because you again are getting that final product taster, but you also are asking people to interact with the screen by throwing in some buttons here, and they get to, go through that experience of being revealed more. When you first land, you only see a handful of screens, but as you scroll, you see the more detailed screens come through as well. So it's nice to have, and I think that it works well because it keeps people engaged. Scroll through final, let's call it scroll through hi-fi. So that means high fidelity designs. I'll also put in parentheses final product images. Scrolling. Okay, so here I have a video of me walking you through the application. I'll play it really quick. It probably won't play my voice. You might hear my voice.
Leo is an app created to bring esoteric self-discovery techniques into the 21st century, as well as Gabby's homepage, like the weather of her location, a mantra, and then here's some user favorites that we've searched, and let's learn a little bit more about them. It's going to clean that. Let's go back home, and then we're going to explore Virgo compatibility.
All right, so I just kind of scrolled you guys through that. What this is me storytelling. I am taking people into the app. I'm saying, welcome to my app. I'm introducing my app. And then I made up some mock scenarios of a user going in and doing a Zodiac compatibility test, a user going in and messaging one of the professionals on the application. And so I'm storytelling. Now you guys can go on my website, you can watch this video and really get a feel for that storytelling technique or that storytelling approach to your case studies. I really think adding a video is worth it. Just add that video, do it. I think that people get excited by videos like this. I also think that when people are too lazy to read the text, they'll watch the video. It's kind of like you're picking up the people that might fall through the cracks that are like, I don't want to read all the text. So now you just have this quick video. By placing it strategically where I placed it at the top of my case study, I am allowing people to have that chicken exit essentially. I'm allowing people to get a gist of the project via the video before it gets text heavy. So it's kind of, oh my gosh, I love this comparison. Like when you're on a recipe blog and you want to see the recipe, but you have to scroll through all of the person's blog about the texture of the flour they bought in the local organic shop that they hand-picked their basil from. You get what I'm saying? You have to scroll until you get to the recipe. I've always been like, why can't they just put the recipe at the top of the page? If I want to read about it, I'll read about it. What I'm doing here is I'm just serving up the good stuff at the very beginning, and if they want to get into the text, they can get into the text. If they want to get more into the nitty-gritty, they can get more into the nitty-gritty, but this video is going to give them an overview. So let me go ahead to here. So yeah, I did that after here. And you guys, this is just a layout. This is a suggestion. This is a draft. You do not have to follow this piece for piece. I've just found it's been pretty savvy. Video walkthrough. I'm gonna put in parentheses, storytell. Oh, apparently it is 2 words. All right. And then I just tell them a little bit about what this video is. I guess I'll put that underneath. I'll put that in my smaller text. A little bit about the video text. I restated my problem here. I really wanted to reset the book. I kind of gave people a preface into the book, and then I'm resetting the plot for the book. So here's my problem, here's my point A. Point A, problem. And then I go into more text about the problem. So I storytell about the problem. And so I'm getting people interested in thinking about it beyond just, there was this issue and I had to fix it. I'm telling them a bit more about the context of the problem and a bit more about the context of how this product came to be, how this idea came to be. All right, text. I'm sure I could have done this prettier, but this is how it is, just working in real time. Text, storytell about the problem. Set the scene. Research. Next portion is research, and you can see in my research, I add some visuals. So what these are SWOT analyses. I added these visuals to, again, give people a break from the text. Even though these are text-heavy visuals, you get these quadrants, you get these logos, and your eyes are drawn in to the visuals instead of just moving straight into text. So the next section will be research. And then I'm gonna put visuals. That could include SWOT, logos of competitors. So nowadays, the way that I usually do a competitive analysis is I actually screen grab and then sitemap the competitor's product or the flow. Then I go and put a bunch of sticky notes all over it. I've done more recent case studies where I showcase that and it just looks like a bunch of screens sitemapped and all these post-it notes, and I put a little text. And the text essentially says, this is my design process for performing a competitive analysis. This is how my brain works and approaches this. All right, then I moved into user surveys and interviews. So we have research, user survey, and interviews. You can also see I'm using like bold type to make things pop, to call out the skills that I employed or utilized within different portions of my case study or of this project. So validating findings, affinity mapping, card sorting, and I'm calling that out because if a person is scanning, they'll see card sorting, affinity mapping, and they'll kind of check, she knows this stuff, she knows this stuff, she knows her stuff. All right, so user surveys and interviews, and then I included data visuals. So this is big, people love to see a good pie chart. Love to see a good pie chart. The way I performed these surveys was using Google Survey. It was super simple, and then I basically just did the math and created my own little pie charts. I actually created these within Squarespace. These are really easy to create as well in Figma. That is something I've gotten really good feedback about. People are like, oh yeah, I love those data visuals. Run with it, baby. So data visuals, and then I put a little text about the data visuals. So again, I'm still storytelling. Storytell about the data visuals. We have card sorts and affinity mapping. Sorts and affinity mapping. I talked a little bit about that. So again, you're always storytelling. So I talked about that process, storytell about this process, and then I gave more visuals. Yes, so I gave more visuals. I actually had a card sort from, I think, like one of those products I named up top that I used in my boot camp. I recreated this image you see here within Figma so that people could more clearly see it. It didn't look as messy, and also the colors look prettier. This is another example of pulling in that visuals of this. Then I moved into personas, task flows, journeys. Personas, task, flows, journeys. All right, so I'm gonna take a little pause here and I'm gonna speak to editing this to suit your own needs. I covered a lot of the different tools and a lot of the different approaches that one could take within a project in this case study because it was for my boot camp. And my boot camp was teaching me all these different methods. They were teaching me affinity mapping, they were teaching me card sorting, things that in a real life work setting as a UX designer, I don't necessarily use that often, but it's really good to show that you know how to do it, and it's really good to show that you can storytell around it, which means you really understand what you're doing. Here, I was like, gosh, there's so many sections, personas, task flows, user journeys. What I did is I called it Meet the User, and in that way I was able to kind of compile all of that into this smaller section so it didn't get too lengthy, because you have to remember, this stuff can get a little lengthy. Again, I used a picture. This is from Unsplash. This is one of my personas. Throwing images in throughout can really help to keep people's attention, keep people engaged, and a smiling person is always a good thing. So then I story told around how I story told about how I approach creating personas and what I did to create these personas. So before my pen hits the paper in the pursuit of wireframes, I take the time to step into the shoes of the humans who will be using the product I aim to design. So this is that user-centric, empathetic design approach. This is something that people really like to see, that the hiring managers really like to see, is that energy of, I'm designing for a human and I know I'm designing for a human. I am able to put myself in the shoes of the ideal user. All of that kind of stuff is going to be very helpful in the Meet the User section. Storytell and add some visuals. Then I talked about the insights I gathered and the personas I created. I did not do full screen images of the personas. No one wants to see in depth every single one of these. They just don't. They're not gonna go through it. So I just gave an overview, and it's a large enough image that it shows, okay, this chick knows what she's talking about. And then that's a user journey. And this is, I think this was empathy mapping, which all of this was covered in my boot camp. You can look up these keywords. I can make videos about it. But so I just gave a little taste of each of these and described with a short term each of my 3 personas. Looking at this now, I'm like, man, I definitely should have had a guy in this. I don't know what I was thinking. Add some visuals of the different methods. So the different methods being task flows, journeys, etc. Okay. Exploration, ideation, information architecture, and wireframe. So now we move into the meat and potatoes. We're getting started on designing the actual product. I feel like I've given you guys a good overview of, we have a section, we storytell around the section, we add some visuals. We have a section, we storytell around the section, we add some visuals. You guys are catching on, so now I'm just gonna get more black and white of, this is the next section, this is the next section. This is wireframing. Wireframing. And always storytell and add your text. This is my low fidelity, so we're gonna do low fidelity, lo-fi, storytell a bit, and visuals. Then we're talking about mid-fi, storytell, visuals. Option to show a flow. And then I move into my usability testing. Usability testing, storytell. I'm just calling it storytell. Oh, and I have an image. So I included an image of one of the people that I used in a usability test. I didn't need to include this, but people love a smiling face. And if you're just scrolling through, that could grab their attention if they're getting bored, and then it might pull them back in. So you're constantly trying to kind of like loop them back in. Usability testing, results, and affinity mapping. So we have storytell, and that's storytelling about the process or approach. And then we have results. So you want to talk about your results, and then you want to show some image of the results. This is where I say, edit to your needs. I'm not sure that this is that necessary to have all of this in here, but I leaned heavily on images, and I mean, that looks kind of cool, right? Like, that looks like I know what I'm doing. So I added that image. Result, use images as needed. This was a usability testing method that was taught in my boot camp. I think it does show this strategic ability to problem solve, and that's, again, something people are looking for. Okay, so here I kind of like wrapped up all of that ideating and iterating, and I moved into the grand finale. And I used a cool background image and some bright text to give people that kind of refresher, like, okay, now's the grand finale. You've made it through all the text heavy stuff, all the kind of nitty gritty, and here we are. We get to look at the user interface design, which is the aesthetic, eye-soothing material. I'm going to call this section Hi-Fi Mockups final product. This is probably not something that you guys are going to do the exact same way that I've done. What I did here to set the scene for the final reveal of my high fidelity mock-ups was to, again, storytell. I story told about the name. I story told about how I got from my mid-fidelity designs to my final designs, what that inspiration was. And I really just tried to give my reader a holistic overview of why I made the final decisions that I made. And that's all this text. So I have final product design images. Storytell. Final product images. You got your final product images. There's things I would have done differently here, obviously, especially within the designs. I probably would do an interactive prototype nowadays, but I went with what I had, what I felt capable of doing at the time, and I did a light mode and a dark mode example. And then I have this footer image. And then I believe I used to have a link to a Figma file that was like my color library and icon library, like my style kit. It wasn't a component library because I didn't know how to do that back then. So this was the link to it used to contain a button that was a link to my style kit. And I just felt like that wasn't that necessary anymore. People don't need to get into my Figma file to see that. They can see it up here. And that was the end. Oh wait, no it wasn't. Wait, there's more. Then I did my final storytelling. And that was what this project taught me. The purpose of this section is to show the reader that you are capable of reflection and learning from your journey. That is why we have this What the Project Taught Me section, and it is your final storytelling section. It is both the ending and the epilogue to this saga, to the saga of the case study. That's Clio. That's the product. I am going to make myself bigger and finish my story for you all. Oh, I need to finish this. All right, and that was the final section. So what we have here is the structure for a solid case study. I'm going to do my best to publish this when I publish the video, and I'll put it in the Figma community so that you guys can use it. It's simple. It's meat and potatoes. Go ahead and screenshot this and work off of this, or go onto my website, deconstruct for yourself like I just did. And you guys can also go onto any other good designer's website and look at their portfolio case studies and deconstruct them for yourself. A little word on how to edit this for your own use. Very simple. I probably don't need to tell you. But for instance, if you didn't do affinity mapping, I had a double in there. If you did not do affinity mapping, just take that section out. If you didn't do any of this card sorting affinity mapping, just remove that section. If you did do, for instance, A/B testing, add that section and add it where it would fall naturally in this structure. So it would fall around maybe after your mid-fidelity wireframes, you did an A/B test to see what kind of UI people liked, or maybe during your user surveys and interviews, you did an A/B test to see what features people preferred. Add it to where it logically makes sense, and don't worry if you don't have every single one of these steps completed. Just roll with it, remove it, tell your story well. Each story is different, each case study is different, and what you want to do is highlight the things that you did really well, add your data visuals to keep people looped in, do your best to get creative. So if that means doing a video walkthrough to engage people better, if that means using color blocking and bold text to make things pop and break things up, do what you need to do, use your creativity, but this should be a solid structure. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I truly hope it helped. I hope it's given you the motivation to dive in and start making your very first UX design case study, or maybe it's your second, or maybe it's your third. I just really hope it helps you guys. I will be making more content for you guys to help you land your first job as a UX UI designer. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys, and I really enjoy knowing that I'm helping people learn about UX UI and break into this career field. So please leave comments below and let me know what other kind of videos you'd like to see. What other kinds of videos you would like to see, because I would love to make them for you and help you guys along in your UX journey. See you later, bye.